Hello and welcome. This is the Market Wrap. I am Agam Vakil. We have seen strength in the benchmark indices with the Nifty now well above the mark of 10,900. In fact, we've seen it close just short of the 10,950 mark. As you can see here, 94 points added in today's day of trade. Strength coming in GAIL India up 5%, Hindalco, but the weightage is coming in from Reliance Industries. That's advanced by as much as 3%. Coal India and Yes Bank not too far away. On the losing end, some weakness in OMCs. Indian Oil as well as HPCL down, but not as substantially. And as you can see from this, the picture and momentum in today's day of trade is clearly with the gainers. In the broader markets, on the NSE 500, we have two gainers for one loser. On the gaining end, we have more strength in Indian tourism development, IDBI. IDBI Banks essentially saw a very sharp spike in the last half an hour of trade. It eventually closed up as much as 13%. Trident did see some strength through the course of the day as well, steadily increasing up as much as 11%. Max India, EID Parry as well as Take Solutions also advancing in trade. Now Sadbhav Infra on the losing end, and it was in focus on back of news, down 5.2%. Bombay Rayon along with Manpasand Beverages and JBF Industries always show up on the losing end over the previous 3 or 4 sessions. And Quality and Hexaware Technology is surprisingly looking at some amount of profit taking after the kind of strength that we saw in yesterday's day of trade. But what are the cues and what is the perspective here when it comes to the markets? We have Neeraj Shah, Markets Editor, joining us to give us an idea about what's really going on. Neeraj, some may be surprised that we've seen the Nifty come back about the mark of 10,900.
Yeah, for once, Agam, a lot of technical experts got it completely right. Everybody's looking at fundamentals, would have been worried about whether or not this can come back and continue the way it is. Last week was marginal gains, but traders, technical experts, the last couple of days, at least on Monday's session as well, were talking about how the uptrend is likely to continue and some more levels come in. Myself was a bit skeptical about whether how can people say with such surety, but hey, it has, and select stocks are contributing to the Nifty gains. But the good part, as you would have spoken about as well, is the kind of performance that the broader markets are putting in as well. A lot of beaten down names, metals, real estate, all of them contributing. Difficult to say how long it will last, but maybe make merry while the sun shines. I think a lot will depend on what the IT sector does predominantly tomorrow as well. Once the top company from your space comes out, so that will be interesting too. But maybe this week is not as big in terms of earnings. Infi then brings up the rear on Friday.
Right.
But the fun and games could start the next week. Right. Just one small statistic that I thought was important, Agam. Today I was in the morning show when we were doing this whole piece on what earnings could look like. I distinctly remember at the end of Q4, almost every brokerage or every fund manager saying that they believed that earnings pickup would be seen in the second half of FY19.
Right.
But if brokerages are to be believed, everybody believes that there could be a 20% earnings growth in the first quarter.
Right.
If indeed we see that, first quarter 20% or 18%, then that really sets up very well for what promises to be a year of recovery. So let's wait and watch. All fingers crossed for that.
Absolutely. It is going to be crucial. Neeraj, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that perspective. Earnings, it is going to be all about earnings, not only from the top brass, but also the broader markets. But when it comes to the technicals, what is Sachidanand Uttekar telling us about the kind of levels that we need to keep an eye on when it comes to the Nifty? This is what he has to say. Listen it.
If you look at last 2 trading sessions, the way option writers have been moving their positions higher, I think they are getting more confident on the level of around 10,800. So clearly, there is this optimistic shift which is very much evident, and a probability of a breakout could be anticipated. But if you look at the overall scenario as such in the last month or so, market has been more stock specific, and if you look at some of the indices itself, something like an IT index has been doing fantastically well. We have the banking which was lagging behind, has started contributing. So I think there's a fair case scenario wherein the markets could see a swing towards say 11,000, 11,100 during this particular expiry itself. So I think from a very short term perspective, the markets have rallied by around 250 points or so in last couple of trading sessions. So probably a buy on decline strategy should be played out. But definitely, this is not a time to book profits in case if you are more on the long side. and one should maintain a trading stop strategy. So until unless we don't see Nifty closing below say 10,810 on a closing basis, I think the drift should continue on the higher side, and declines should be utilized to create long positions with an expectation of a move towards 11,100.
Well, the Nifty earnings are here, and the first one in the lot is IndusInd Bank. We've had earnings come through, and we have Shraddha Babla, who's joined us to give us a few more details when it comes to earnings. Shraddha, how were the earnings?
So, Agam, the management has been able to deliver in the first quarter as well. So, broadly good set of numbers in line with what the street was expecting. Overall, a net interest income grew by about 19.6%. Net profit growth came in at about 23% at 1,035 crores. There was a 5 basis points Q on Q dip as far as the net interest margin was concerned. But again, the management said that that was largely on account of the lag effect between repricing of the loans. That apart, the core fee income growth rebounded to 20% as compared to 12% that we'd seen in the March quarter. So that has come back. Overall, as far as the loan book growth is concerned, that continued to remain robust at 29%. You saw strong growth in the corporate as well as the consumer financing book. Even when it comes to the asset quality picture, the gross NPA number came in at 1.15% versus 1.17% sequentially. So no uptick there. Largely the restructured book also remains at just about 5 basis points or so. So it stands out, pretty well as compared to its peers, even as far as asset quality is concerned. So no big surprises here. Good set of numbers, but in line with estimates.
Okay, Shraddha, thank you so much for joining us and giving us those details. And from the broader markets, we are also keeping an eye on Prakash Industries, which also came out with a good set of earnings. We have Nikki Mirchandani, who's joining us to give us more details on this one. Nikki, how do the results look?
Well, on the face of it, good set of numbers. By the end of it, we saw the stock correcting quite a bit from the levels that we saw. We saw a 7% uptick for Prakash Industry in the intraday trade. But then by the end of the day, the counter shut shop with gains of more than 0.5%. In terms of numbers, we looked at a 50% uptick growth in top line at a number of around 985 crore. EBITDA grew as much as more than 2-folds at a number of around 240 odd crore. Margins expanded to 24% as compared to 16%. And we also saw profitability, the bottom line performance being higher by as much as 3 times to a number of around 168 crore. Higher revenue along with the operational cost savings led to good efficiency from the company, which percolated down on the bottom line performance of this company. However, sequentially, there were modest set of numbers. Segmental performance, we saw great performance coming in from the steel division, which contributes the maximum to your segmental revenue. That particular segment saw a 41% uptick on year basis. However, in terms of EBIT, it's the power division which contributes to the highest EBIT performance. That division saw growth of more than 100%. So that's that in terms of the numbers that Prakash Industries came out with.
Nikki, thank you so much for joining us and giving us those details. That said, we're also keeping an eye on Tata Consultancy Services and see how the earnings reaction will pan out in tomorrow's day of trade, the largest company by market capitalization in the Indian equity markets at this point in time. And with that, it's a wrap on the markets, but lots more lined up. So stay tuned into Bloomberg Quint, and we'll keep bringing you more.